Best friend I ever fucking had. And I'm fucking proud of you.
Yeah.
Welcome to a special edition of Reviews with Your Mom's Favorites with hosts Moe and Greg. I am Moe.
I'm Greg.
And we are here today because we could not let our usual time frame in between pods to go without discussing what just happened on one of the greatest shows in television, Snowfall.
Yeah.
And because it is such a great show, we had to go get some help.
That's right. Couldn't do it. We couldn't
just do it with just us. We needed another voice. We needed more opinions
There you go.
in the room. We needed a bigger convo.
There you go.
And so you see her on your screen. She has been here multiple times before, from the Christmas episode to cancel the awards, and the very first review of Snowfall I did. She was who I did it with. My sister Leigh is back.
Yeah.
Leigh, how are you?
I am good. Clearly, brought my Snowfall glasses back.
The vibes are back.
In essence of the 80s. But I'm good. Good. Definitely.
Good. Uncle G, how are you?
I'm good. I'm
Awesome.
Ready.
Yes.
We are ready. Like I said, we are here to discuss Snowfall. The series finale was this past week. And let's just start off. Keep the applause going.
Yes.
For the wonderful show that Snowfall was.
Yes.
And from beginning to end, right? Like, the show was just spectacular. The last season 5 was a bit iffy for most.
Yeah. Yep.
But with the way season 6 came back and rebounded and left no crumbs on the table at all
None.
is ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Season 5, no, we lost. Well, if we can also get another round of applause for the man that is
Yes.
genius.
Yes, absolutely.
Mastermind, the brain, all of the things for
Mr.
Singleton himself. We lost him, I think, after season 3.
I think it was 3.
After season 3.
I believe it was season 3.
I think season 4 was also a questionable season, right? It was great. The content, let's be clear that Snowfall has never really gone down.
No.
I do think that there was just a lot of expectation coming into season 4
Little
because
bumps, some
because
speed
it
bumps.
was the first season
without him.
But season 6 made it clear that the man prepared the team.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That he sort of laid it out in a way where, and I love when you listen to show creators and directors and showrunners, and they talk about how they sort of know how a show needs to end, and they know when it needs to end, and they know what that looks like. I am convinced that when they were discussing season 1, they had some conversation about what the end season. I don't know if he gave them a number. I don't know if we don't know the intricate details of it, but I am convinced that he was clear on what the full circle of this show needed to look like, because season 6 is reminiscent of the passion, of the drive, of the creativity, of the writing, of the artistic value even. Like, there are scenes, and I'm not gonna ramble, I promise y'all stop me. But that scene in this last episode where he is in the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the cinematography of that scene alone, where you continue to hear the conversation, but he is in the bank by himself. We all have those moments, right? Where you're sitting and you're like, I know things are happening around me, but I'm having this out of body experience where, like, what is happening? And I feel alone. It's just
that whole scene was
whole
crazy.
scene. And I think it just speaks to, from season 1, as we said, to season 6, Snowfall has just been everything. And I think it speaks to the values, right, that us as humans experience in life, that we connect with. Even if you've never if you've never lived in LA, if you've never, none of us, I mean, this is set in 83, they say, right? I wasn't even born then. So I would have no real direct connection to what that was or what that life was, but I know what greed looks like, right? I know what family looks like. I know what loyalty looks like. I know what pride, but then also being proud. I know what all of those things I can connect with them. So I think overall, I mean,
it was an incredible experience.
Yeah.
And even if like we weren't there during the time, the things haven't necessarily changed, right?
No.
So we all, like, the drug game has been the drug game since its conception, and it is still currently the drug game. So whether it was in 83 or whether it's today, we still, as a community, honestly, as the Black community, we still, like, we know Franklin's right now. Like, we know, we may not know Teddy's right now, but like, we know Franklin's right now. We know Leigh's right now. We know Louie's right now. We know, we know Alton season 1's right now. Like, it's something that we could connect to. And I just think that it was portrayed in a different light to where you kindly have to take a different look at it, because for the most part, when drug dealers get movies and or shows, we kind of idolize them and we root for them a lot. Whereas Snowfall, and we never really dare to, we're just like, yo, they're getting money, like they're looking good, the lifestyle is changing. When people, like, we are against the cops trying to take them off the streets, when honestly, we should be rooting for the cops taking them off the street, because we never take a look at, though they're getting money, we're not really taking a look at the devastation caused in the wake of them gaining all of this money.
Right. Well, see, I think a part of why we root for them, right, is because, and I know you said that we may not know Teddy, but I think we do. And I think we do because Teddy's represent a system that is by design not beneficial to our community, right? That by design, to your point, we know Franklin's, we know Louie's, we know Sissy's, we know Leon's. And because we know those people and we know the Teddys and the systems, I am going to inherently root for the Franklins and the Leighs and the Louie's and the Unks and the Sissy's, because I recognize that the system by design is set up for them to fail. So I am going to root for them in these shows. I know that they're not doing great things. And I know that they represent a system that has not been beneficial to our community at all, but I also know that the system was always set up that way. It was set up for us to fail. It was set up for us to take advantage of one another. It was set up for us to want to kill each other to get ahead. It was set up for us to live in this place of greed and fight. And
the system was set up to exploit us.
Yes.
Exploit us.
So that makes it easy, unfortunately, but fortunately, it makes it easy to root for them, right? Because I'm not going to root for Teddy. No. I'm not ever
going to root for Teddy.
Because when Sis pulled the gun out and shot that man in his chest, I was like, I mean, granted, I battled in that moment, right? Because I was like, the password. He just needed the password.
You know what? That's the only thing I was concerned about.
Yes, because again,
I was like, you couldn't wait 5 minutes?
Girl,
5 minutes.
I was like, just let him say the password on the phone, like, so he could get, because again, I was still rooting for Franklin. I wanted him to get, even if he was only going to get 37 million, I wanted him to get his money. Because I understood that the system is what took it from him. We know how he got it.
No, I know. I agree. I totally agree.
I was like, but that was his money.
I totally agree with that. With that, that was a very good way to put it, because again, we find ourselves in an uncomfortable position because we find ourselves like, oh man, you see what he's doing? We know. And to the people watching, we know we're not supposed to be rooting for the bad guy. We get that. We know. But here's the thing: we're rooting for them only because they're bucking the system. We know. Here's the thing, and it bring it a little further ahead. Everybody always will say, "Well, why were you rooting for OJ?" I said, "You know why I rooted for OJ?" I said, I don't know if he did it or didn't. I don't know. And guess what? I don't care. But the bottom line, the bottom line is this: he took their system, and worked it for points and made it work against them. And you know what? At the end of the day, that's what made them mad. Not so much that he killed somebody, but by virtue of the fact that he took their system, it's like, how dare you?
Yeah.
It's like they're like, how dare you beat us at our own game?
At our own game, yeah. And I think many of us have encountered that on some level, right?
Yeah.
Not to the value of $37 million or $75 million, but I think, and when we looked at it earlier, we talked about what today's value of that would be, and that's to the tune of $225 million.
Yeah.
So
we can look that up.
Imagine being in that space, right? Like, and I know we're going to keep talking about these themes, but one of the things that inherently came out of this on the other side was, right, how sad and uncomfortable and dark this felt. But if I had lost, $225 million, it's gonna be sad.
Yeah,
it's gonna be dark, and it's gonna be beyond uncomfortable.
Because I'm putting everybody's lights out. If I wake up now, it wasn't even like over time he took it.
Yeah.
The man woke up one day.
It was gone.
Everything was gone.
Everything.
Oh, Jesus help us.
Yeah.
Everything was gone. Now, see, because we get it, because let me wake up. I woke up one morning and there was $200 missing from my bank account. $200.
Exactly. And you lost your mind,
I said, excuse me, someone explain where my money is, and it's my money and I need it now.
Somebody better tell me what happened.
Yes.
So I can only imagine what he felt like waking up and $73 million is gone from your bank account.
Gone.
Yeah.
On top of everything you've already lost.
Yeah.
Because at the time, him and Leon wasn't really all that cool.
Yeah.
His relationship with his mother was super strained.
Yeah.
His uncle and his aunt, they were at odds now because Louis went behind his back to Teddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So on top of everything else, and you got a pregnant girl, like your girlfriend is pregnant with a child on the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One thing you don't have to stress about is the care of your baby with $73 million in your bank account.
Right. Exactly.
Like, they're going to be good
with
$73 million in your bank account.
Yeah.
If you wake up and that money is now gone, everything is stressful.
Yeah. But see, I think that's why, and it goes back to what we said at the beginning. Those themes, you don't have to live in that time to understand that.
Because they're still happening now.
They are still happening. They are real life. To your point, I do not have 75, let alone $225 million. But what I have is mine.
It's mine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I've worked for it.
Yeah.
And that idea of loss, that idea of loss, not just in money, but loss of family, loss of friends, loss of passion or drive, or any of those things, we all understand loss. Mm-hmm. And I think it's why you can connect with these characters, because they speak to real human emotion, that real human connection. And like, as the publicist in the room, right? Like, it's always about that storytelling. It's always about how you brands, and you see that. There are some brands who do really, really well, and their campaigns take off, and they're like, but then there are some who, and it's because it's that connection with consumers, and as a consumer of television, it's that connection. There are shows that come and go. Yeah. There are shows that we like talk about in the moment, right? Like, and I jokingly, before we started recording, I said, I really only watch Snowfall or Love is Blind. Mm-hmm. And like, Love is Blind is having a moment right now, but Love is Blind is not going to leave the impact that a Snowfall did. No, because in the moment it fed a like interesting, like, oh, look at those people trying to get married and they never met, they don't know what they're doing. But I don't have no connection to that. I don't really understand. I've never dealt with, like, we all have relationships, but that type of situation is not something that I'm going to connect with long term. It's fun, it's interesting, it's funny to watch in the moment, but Snowfall is going to leave a lasting impact for generations. It's going to be a part of TV history for forever because it spoke to just human connection and the things that we all understand, and loss, pride, greed, the gain of money, the loss of money, family, loyalty, friends, like all of that is just something that we inherently encounter in life, no matter who you are, no matter how much money you make or don't make. We all understand it and can connect to it.
It's definitely universal in that regard. Yeah. And then coming in also because a friend of mine asked me, I was talking to him about Snowfall, and he said to me, he's a big Breaking Bad fan, and he said to me, He said, so is it as good as Breaking Bad? I said, oh yeah. It's definitely as good as Breaking Bad. Different time period, different situations. I said, but it's basically the same story.
Yeah.
Except told from a perspective from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And it's basically the same story. And I said, if you like Breaking Bad, you like Snowfall.
Yeah.
You will definitely like Snowfall. The performances were incredible, and these people worked. The writing was incredible. The whole story, going back to what you said initially about the story, how it connected from one season to from the first season all the way up to the end, where it's like, oh my gosh. Even though and because of the fact that I just thought about something, because of the fact that we've known Franklin's, or we've seen that story played out before.
Yeah.
It's like another reason that you're rooting for him, because when you first meet him, you already know. You pretty much already know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
You know this is not going to end well. He is not going to ride off into the sunset.
You're hoping we wanted him to.
Yeah. You were hoping so. That he beats the system, but you already know that the system don't forgive.
Yeah. But I actually appreciate that he didn't beat the system.
Yeah. I'm kind of appreciative.
I think to your point, right, in retrospect, you definitely, in the moment, it was tough to watch. It's what made it uncomfortable, It's what made it sad. It's what made it dark. You were just like, oh, Franklin, we went, like, at the top of the episode, you were all the way up here, and 90 minutes later, you are down at a level that you were not, even when season 1 started, right? Like, you were not there. But it speaks to real life again.
Yeah.
And it speaks to that connection. And it speaks to the fact that, to your point, we know Alton's.
Yeah.
And as a result, it's like, this was his path. This was what was going to happen. Yeah. And shout out to his mama for trying to, I think she saw it coming. And in many ways tried to prevent it, because she knew what it looked like, right? She lived it with his dad. She experienced it firsthand. And she tried to prevent it. And sometimes you just can't.
Yeah, I mean, literally right up to the end. Because when what's my boy's name? His best friend,
Leon.
When Leon goes to see her, and when Leon is talking to Franklin, and he's telling him, he said, "You know why she did that?" And Franklin's like, "Yeah, she crazy."
Yeah.
And so he says, "No." So she was doing that trying to save you.
Yeah.
And I think it's like it's a great thing, because back to your point with what you said with how he was at the top at the beginning of the episode. And I don't even think at the beginning of the episode he was at the top, because I think that's why he sat in the bar. He wasn't at the top then.
Oh, yes.
It was started to decline, and which is one thing I never really noticed or paid attention to until this season. If we watch all of the intros for each and every season, it's always a slow burn, like it's always a slow decline. So from the beginning of the season, I would say the beginning of this season, Franklin was at the top. Even though he had just lost his money, he was still at the top. But as we watch throughout this season, you see just like in every intro, the decline of the intro of the logo. It got like it burnt. It's a slow burn, and it's honestly, it speaks to addiction, right? Like nobody just starts off fully gone. It's like, oh, I can do like, just I could do cocaine one time and I'm fine, no problem. We good. But then as soon it starts off where it's like, yo, I got to do this every day. It's like when I wake up in the morning, I got to do it. And then it's like you slowly start to build it. And to your point, Sissy is like, we all know Sissy, because we all know, like, with addiction, there are people who are trying to stop. They see what's coming. And they try to stop it so that you don't, because they know where it's going to go. And they try to stop it, and sometimes it gets a little drastic to where they put themselves on the line, which she did, and shooting Teddy, she sacrificed her own freedom to try to save her son, but unfortunately, it was honestly too late.
It was too late.
It was too late.
Yeah, it was too.
I mean, if we can, just for a second, right? give a shout out to that opening logo scene.
Oh man.
Yes.
In every episode.
Yeah.
And I love that you brought that up, Mo, because it's just another one of those things where like you don't think about it in the moment, and there were plenty of times where you like see it and you see, to your point, it's a slow burn, or even there were times that like they didn't use fire, they may have used water, but it was gradual.
A slow disintegration.
This last episode, it blew up.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it. I was watching it with Pat, and the minute it happened, he was like, well, here it is. Like, it was almost like, okay, well, here it comes. Like, you knew that, like, this is about to blow up.
This is
about to go in a direction that, like, it signaled that he wasn't about to ride off into the sunset, right? Like, he wasn't about to just get on his private jet and
fly away.
And everything was going to be great.
Him and his girl and the baby, and they was just going to go start a new life. And
I mean, shout out to V for stealing his money.
Ooh.
Girl.
Dude. Oh my gosh.
I was like, I can't believe you did that.
That caught me off guard. But it didn't, because, at the core, when you finally find out who she really is.
She is her mama's child.
She's her mother's child.
Yes.
And it's in her. Like, even when he was when he was really bringing her into to his world and what he did, she never batted an eye.
Oh, that's so true.
She snapped. I mean, it's like she's like it was almost like she had always been a part of it. But then when you find out what her mother was like, you're like, oh my God, this woman.
Because even when they're trying to get the money they're trying to get Teddy to give the money back, you're not going to tell me you were just sitting and you came up with the idea to like grease and get it hot and pour it on him as a torture tactic.
No.
Or that you've never seen this.
That you've never seen
this
like,
done before.
You like I'm almost willing to guarantee that's not even the first time she told someone that story.
No.
I'm like, fam, you didn't. No. But then again, that's the game.
You went out. She went out and bought the oil.
Yes.
Hello.
She had it.
She had it.
She was like, here.
She came back. She said, listen, we got to get down. She said, if you want to do this, here's what we got to do.
Yeah.
To the point now that I'm thinking about that, I'm wondering if she would have did it herself if she had to. Because if Franklin had said, "Nah, I can't do nothing like that,"
She did it.
I was like,
I think she was a woman that was capable, but I think she understood the position she needed to play.
Oh yeah, no, she
because
played her.
If you think about even the story she would tell of her mom, right? Like her mother never really got her hands dirty. It was one of those things where like she would stir the pot and hide her hands.
Yeah,
and I think that's the type of woman Veronique proved to be, was that like, I'm gonna stir it a little bit, which was why Sissy, if we being honest, Sissy never really like.
Yeah,
she never really liked her.
There was always a little bit of like, okay, I know you're carrying my grandbaby, so I'm going like.
I like that party.
I like that part of you.
Well, I think that was just mother's instincts. Like she knew.
Yeah, but in that
she saw it. She knew.
That last exchange where Sissy told, when she said "shut up" from the depth of her belly, that was a shut up that she had been preparing for a long. Because she was like, "Girl, this conversation is not with you. I'm talking to my son. I understand what we have to do next. Like, shut up."
Because
and she did. Shout out to her. She did.
Because she ain't stupid.
Right.
One thing we've shown, she's not stupid.
She was not.
Her mother raised a smart one.
Yes.
Yeah. But then it was like, granted, I was upset she stole the money. Because again, even at this point, I am still team Franklin.
Yeah.
Like,
Again, you're hoping against hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then to skip later on in the episode when he's talking to Leon and you find out that she called him to tell him that he had a son.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to raise him better. Sis, you're no better than me. What do you mean you're going to raise him better?
We were doing this thing called life together.
Hello.
Let's be clear. You're only going to raise another Franklin. So shout out to that.
Right. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, because the money you took, at the end of the day, the what's the group, Uncle Greg? Money, Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Oh, no. Money.
Yeah.
That's OJ's.
OJ's,
Yeah,
right.
For the love of money.
people love playing that song when like a whole bunch of money is around, right?
Yeah.
But one thing, if you listen to the lyrics of the song,
you gotta listen to the lyrics.
they say that money is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, that money was not gained through legal means at all.
At all.
Yeah.
The money is tainted. It is corrupted. It has corrupted every single thing
Every single thing.
that it touches. So if you think that you're going to ride off in the sunset and that money ain't going to affect you and yours, you're absolutely out your mind.
Yeah.
You're out your mind.
And I love that because I think it's the perfect sort of segue into the connections, right, from season 1 to season 6, because I rewatch. This is another thing. I very rarely rewatch or feel compelled, right, to go back. I've only ever done it, truthfully, with the finale of Insecure.
Okay.
I watched Insecure. I watched the finale of Insecure several times, cried my eyes out because it was going in, and I was just like, why? This was our friends in our head. We do all these things together. But then you go back to season 1 and you make those connections, right? And yesterday I watched episode 1, season 1 of Snowfall.
Yeah, I did too.
And to that point, right, of money and the root of all evil, what you see in the last 5 minutes of it, and that was the other thing Snowfall was, and I'm going to get back to the point, but like this season 6, I could casually watch from like minute 1 to minute 55. And then in the last 5 minutes of every episode, I found myself on the edge of my chair because I thought Franklin was going to die when they hung him.
Yep.
I wasn't sure with Unc and like every episode was like, no, you were like this, right? But in the last 5 minutes of episode 1, Franklin has sold his first brick. He is sitting in the car with a bag full of money. And Louie looks at him and she says, "You look like you about to make love." To that bag, like, and they kind of joke about it, and they get to a red light and they see Franklin's dad walk across the front of the screen, and there is this moment where the intersection of this love of money,
oh my gosh,
but the trauma and the history that someone carries behind them, there is this intersection in the world where you understand, you almost, it shows you, it brings those two things together. It brings the kickoff of his addiction and what the tail end of that addiction is going to look like. And again, I don't know what conversations they had with Johnson, but like to see that again, to now understand where Franklin ends as a result of this love of money is impeccable storytelling.
It's like he was at a crossroads moment.
Yeah.
And not even realizing.
At a literal red light.
That was a crossroad moment.
Yeah.
And because again, and I guess going back to something I think Moe said, is that you don't ever think that could happen to you.
Yeah.
You know, because Franklin, again, smart kid.
He went to school in the Valley. Like that was the whole point of even his connections on how he got from, or for how he knew the people that he began to know, right, was because he went to school with this kid. But I think, and one of the things that also happened in that scene, episode 1, season 1, was when Alton walks across the front of the car, Louis says, "Go get out the car and talk to your daddy." Yeah. And I believe, right, that if he had that encounter with his dad,
it could have,
right, it could have changed, because I do think that oftentimes many of us we run from the things we need to face. Yeah. And we continue to try and run, and we try and run and try. And even in the last season where Teddy tells Sissy that like Alton is in a prison in Puerto Rico, and Sissy goes and she's like, "Your dad is in this prison," and Franklin is like, "I don't care about him. Like I don't like forget him." Like I think having that come to Jesus moment with his dad, maybe earlier on, or even just dealing with whatever that was, that like that empty space, right, for him, could have changed the trajectory of his life. And maybe there was a world in which if having that moment with his dad at the beginning, we wouldn't have had a show. So like we clearly couldn't have done that. But just like when you think about real life, right? Like it's really just about, sometimes you need to just face the thing head on. You need to face your demon head on. You need to deal with whatever the trauma is, whatever the situation is, so that you can overcome whatever is chasing you. If not, it is going to literally chase you. And you're going to find yourself in a position that he found himself in at the tail end, just like his daddy.
Yeah.
A full circle moment.
Circle.
Even down to, I thought it was kind of dope that what Alton has on in season 1, episode 1, is the exact same thing Franklin has on in the series finale.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They are literally wearing
Same
the
person.
exact same thing
That's crazy.
from the first episode to the end.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
Like the parallels from the
Yeah.
beginning to the end, it's ridiculous. I used to get upset when like shows would do that. They play the series finale and then right after that they start back over from the beginning. But in watching this show, you understand why they do it, because it's like, bro, like there's things that you don't know that you need to know when you're first watching it that you catch the second time, because in that same episode, in that bag of money, Franklin has $12,000.
Yeah.
When Franklin finds Peaches and he opens the safe, all that's left is $12,000.
That's $12,000 you started.
That's $12,000 that you started with.
And that's probably why he sits there for a moment and he starts to laugh.
Because he probably remembers.
Probably remembers
what I started with. Is all I'm ending with.
Yeah.
He kind of like laughs because it's like, and you think he's laughing because he's losing it, but he's probably having another moment. He's having
another one of those moments. In the series finale, when Leon goes to see him, he's losing the house. When the show starts, they are about to get kicked out of their apartment.
That's right.
About to get kicked out of the house.
They're about to get kicked out of the house.
Yeah.
So it's like, bam, right back here again.
There are so many of those things, right? Like there's, and we talked about this a little bit, but like even the very last line I think he says to Leon is, Leon, I'm free.
Free from all of it.
Free from all of it. And at the beginning, he's talking to season 1, episode 1. One, he worked in, again, there were so many different things that like the connection. The bar he goes into in the last episode of season, not the bar, the liquor store that he goes into at the end of season 6 is a liquor store he worked in season 1. But working in season 1, he's there with Melody and they are there after hours and they're having this conversation and she's like, well, what are you doing this for? And he's like, I just want to be free. So like even that connection of freedom, right? And like we start out the season desiring freedom. He gets to the end and he wants to be free. But the one thing I heard yesterday for the first time, what she said to him, because she went to the liquor store after hours and she goes, of course, because he's like cleaning up, and she goes to get a bottle of whatever she's drinking. And she's like, why don't you drink? And he's like, because I don't need that stuff. Like, I don't need that. It's not good for you. Like, he goes on this whole, so then to become an alcoholic. At the end, it's like he knew that like these things were going to catch up to you. If you even started a little bit, if you start these addictions, addiction is a funny thing because I think oftentimes we only think of like the ones you can see.
But there's a whole litany of addictions that you can't see.
Yeah.
And his addiction was money. And the power and the position and the authority that he thought it would give him, which is why he began to spiral, because he lost it. Which means he felt, truthfully, for being honest, that 75 million or 73 million had so much value. It placed value in him. It placed value in who he thought he was. It placed value in what he thought he could do. It placed value in, and even his mama tried to be like, we could be free other ways. We don't need to chase this. You don't need to do this. You don't need to kill to get this. And he had placed so much value in it that it drove him to another form of addiction, which then ultimately is what took him out of here. Guys, I mean, like, we could really sit here for hours
and just break this whole thing down.
And break this whole
thing
down. Because even when you think about, and this is another thing I'm telling you, if you haven't watched season 1, episode 1, you must.
I did. I watched it last night.
You have to.
When I got home.
Because even this thing started with him and Louie. That's the other part. So to even see them fall out, right? To see where their relationship ends. It took me back to the scene at the cemetery after Unc died. And they're standing at his grave site. And she looked at him and she said, why did you come back for me? I truly believe she was looking for the loyalty that she extended to him in season 1. Because when he first took the brick to Unc was like, get that out of here.
Yeah, he wanted nothing
to do with it.
Unc was like, I don't want no parts of that. I don't want no. And she came back and Franklin said to her, why did you come help me? And she said, because I didn't want them to kill you. Mm-hmm. I wanted you to be able to get this out of here. So we could, and she's like, and you need to make, and she literally goes down this whole path of make the connection. Let Claudia deal with these people. You don't need to be the middleman. Like, you don't need, she's like, I want to make sure that you're alive tomorrow. Yeah. Like, and I really think that's the answer she was looking for standing at the cemetery, at the gravesite, was, why did you come back for me? Instead, he's like, well, I'm the devil. Yeah. And I just want Teddy. And I just want, I
think that was just the poison of the money and his pride, because he hesitated before he answer. Yes. Mm-hmm. So he honestly, like, the hesitation was all I needed, because I'm like, bro, you went back because just like, though you are not, and it's a crazy thing we do with family. Mm-hmm. Like, we could be on the outs, and it's like, for you and I could fight. Yeah. You and Ali can fight. Mm-hmm. But if somebody who is not you or I tries to fight you,
don't play with it.
It's a problem. It's a problem.
That is a severe problem.
Because I can fight with my sister. You can't.
You can't. And the fight that we're currently having will be put on pause.
Yeah,
right.
So now we can handle you.
So we can handle you.
And then we'll come back to this. Absolutely. This is going to wait. Yeah. Because you tried us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now we got to handle you.
So we're going to put this on the side, because you can't do that to mine.
Yes. Yeah. What's the song? Try Jesus. Don't try me.
Not me.
Don't try
because
me.
I fight. Like,
because I throw hands.
I throw hands. Yeah.
But like, all you had to do, bro, just say, because I love you. Like, because I love you. Yeah. I think changes the entire ending.
Yeah. 1000%.
Changes the entire ending. If he, instead of saying, because I need you, like, I need you to get to Teddy, or whatever nonsense he said, or if he said, because I love you, or because I still love you,
it would have changed. Yeah, because even the way she went out, right? Like, even though he called her and said, the DEA have been watching you and they're like, come on, you should run. Yeah. She questioned even that, right? Like, she questioned why he said that. She literally went out thinking that he had them or sent them after her.
That he was the cause.
That he was the cause of why, and he wasn't. Like, in all fairness, he wasn't. But to your point, I think that exchange at the gravesite, had he said, because I love you, or even just because you family, like, because of what you meant to my uncle, even, right? I think as a viewer, Louis was never my favorite character. But I loved Unc.
Yeah.
I loved Jerome.
I liked Louis. I did like Louis.
You know what I like? I will say this, and I'll give credit where credit is due, because she was always family first.
Yeah.
And I think she did it for as long as she could, until she realized that Franklin was no longer family first.
Yeah, he was.
And then you have to sort of change your position, right? On how you approach things. And I think that's when she went to the left, and she realized that going to the left with Teddy was not to her benefit either. But I held a spot for her because I held a spot for Unc. Unc was the definition of family first.
Family first. He was.
No matter how mad we got, to your point, like, even there were moments where him and Franklin would have it out. Even that moment in the restaurant.
Yeah. That broke my heart.
Oh my God, that was
it broke my heart. But I believed that he would still show up for him if he had to. Yeah. And I think that was one of the things that I loved about his character, was it was always family first. It was always like, now we got to get back to this. We got to figure out how we get back to this. Even them coming together to rescue Louis was a true moment of like, we going to do, again, we're going to pause
this,
our nonsense, and we're going to come, because it's right. If we come together in this force, we'll be able to get her. But
I think
Uncle was
even that,
gone, Louis was.
I think even that was because Uncle always, he said it like a lot within this last season. He was like, the game is changing. Yeah. And the respect and the love, like the way we did it, the respect that even we had for each other, for our families, for like, it's gone.
Yeah.
It became a cutthroat.
Yeah, he was like, bro, he was like, these kids, which is part of the reason why he himself was
out.
like, I'm out of this game because the love that, like, the respect, and because it's true. Like, at the time, it was like, bro, your families were off limits. If I had beef with you, I'm not going to go kill your sister because I got beef with you. I'm going to handle this. Me and you, we going to handle our beef. That's it. But it's like, you know, times are changing. Like, you know, it was soon became everybody could get it. And he just realized that he no longer fit in that world. So he was trying to get out.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, getting out isn't as easy for everyone.
No. Well, see, yes and no, because I think, to your point, he didn't like the world that things had become or the way things had become. But I think more than any world, he didn't like the world in which his family was living in.
Yeah.
Right? Because to your point, it was different. When we started this thing, we started it under a different pretense. We started it under this idea that we're going to get some money, we're going to make a couple dollars, and we just going to leave it.
Yeah, and we're going to get, we out.
We out. It was never supposed to be, he never had this desire to build this, like, empire or chase all this money.
Right?
Yes.
No,
there was never that. And I think when it not only became that in the drug game, but it became that in his own family, there was this desire to get out, right? But, like, getting out in the name of family had its consequences.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw more than anything, was like, he wanted to get out, and he was clear with her that I'm going to do this last thing for you, but then we're done. But then at what cost? Because he can't get out if she's not out.
Nope.
She is now actually physically locked in a space, and I need to go get her. And in order to do that, what are we willing to risk, right? And ultimately, he had to risk his life.
His life.
For it. Shout out to Unc.
Shout out to Unc. I wish better for him.
Yeah, I do too. And I think that moment, we've said this too, when you hear Franklin call out to him again, the last couple minutes of that episode, and he's like, Unc. Like you want him to wake up, you want him to respond, you want him to.
Yeah, I was like, that was gut. That was hard. That was hard to
wrenching.
watch. Yeah, that was
because
hard.
Again, I think we have all had those moments, right? And we're not gonna stay here too long.
No.
But we've all had those moments where you call out for somebody, or you have this desire to call out for somebody that cannot respond to you
anymore.
It changes the game. It changes the game.
It changes the game.
It changes the game.
My question to everybody to the floor is this: what did you finally think of the ending? And for those who are watching, this is going to be, it might be a little bit of a spoiler alert.
Honestly, if you haven't, you shouldn't watch this video if you haven't seen it yet. If you haven't finished Snowfall, don't watch this video at all.
Go watch it first and then come back.
But if we're being honest, and I'm going to let you ask you a question. If we're being honest with ourselves, how have you not watched it yet?
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
What exactly?
Yeah. What are you
It is Saturday. Why are you not?
Oh.
Why?
Right. Why?
Well, no, see, that Are You Not Entertained would have been a good one too, because, like, are you not entertained? How did you? I could not. Let me tell you. Snowfall comes on in our area, and Uncle G, please do not forget your question.
No.
Snowfall comes on in our area every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Most times, I'm like, I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm. Yeah. But this Wednesday, let me tell you, I made sure everybody was in the bath. I made sure everybody had eaten. I made sure everybody was in the bed and, like, sleeping in the bed too. Not like looking. Don't come look for me, because at 10 p.m. on Wednesday night, I need it in real time to be in front of. Now, I understand that may not have been, because I know, like, Mo, you had to work. You couldn't really do that. But, like, we are now talking about days since that episode aired. How have you not? Are you not entertained?
Yeah.
Because how have you not watched it yet? But your question.
My question was that, because my problem at first, and because the problem I kept having with the whole thing, and not a problem with the ending, but I kept wondering, this is what I kept even waiting for. I kept waiting for them to kill Franklin. I kept waiting for them to kill Franklin. I kept waiting for Franklin to die. I kept waiting for Franklin to die. I kept saying, any minute now, somebody's going to jump out of the corner. The government is going to come and scoop him up and make him disappear. Especially when his mother said what she said in court that time. I was like, oh God, they got her, but they really going to get you. And I'm like, oh my God, when is he going to die? And I kept wondering. And then something came to me about why they didn't kill him. And I just want to see what everybody else. My thing. This is the reason why I think they didn't kill him, because if they had killed him, he would have been a martyr.
Yeah.
He would have been. Yeah. He would have been a martyr. He would have been. He said, "See, the system got him too." See, but to leave him alive.
Yeah, and to suffer.
To kill him would have been too easy.
Was almost like they're making an example. He was being made an example of. It's like don't let this happen to you.
Yeah.
Don't mess with the system. Don't mess with the government. Because here's the thing. Yeah, he was as a dead man. He was just a martyr. Yeah. But to see him alive and to see where he came from and where he is now. Yeah. It was like see that. That could happen to you.
Yes. It's so interesting because I think, and this is the first time I've said this out loud, I too waited for them to kill him.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to die.
Even at the very end. Where you see them go in the house. Mm-hmm. I thought it was going to be, what was that scene? Not Set It Off. There's another movie. What's the movie with Chris Brown? Takers. That scene where Chris Brown and Michael Ealy, they're like, do we take the front or the back? But the cops are like surrounding the place, right? And that scene where they open the door and you see them attempt to like fire at the cops, but the cops ultimately get them. I thought it was gonna be one of those scenes where like he went and like tried to storm in the house after them, and they ultimately like in my mind.
That's what I kept saying.
I was like, okay,
that's what I was ready for,
because he saw them going in the house. I really expected him to like chase after them, to be like, this is my house.
Yeah.
Especially after Leigh was like, I could pay a tax. We could through. He was like, no, I'm free. I thought he was going to literally be like, I am free and I'm not afraid of them, and I'm gonna. So like, yes, I did have that moment where I thought he was gonna die. But to your point, I think it does become a question of pride and position. Because when you think about Franklin and you think about the position he had, right, moving through the streets for all 6 seasons. When he walked, they moved.
Yeah.
If he walked into a room, there was a level, even down to this last couple episodes, right? Where like he was trying to make his money back and he's working within other smaller groups that are like selling. Like he still had a position. For instance, even going back into the warehouse, the one kid was like, "No, we got to search his car," and they was like, "Nah, we know this safe.
No,
like we don't have to do that." Yeah. But then at the end, Leon walks up and is like, does anyone still live here? And the guy's like, if you call that living, and he almost became a joke, right? Like there was no power or position to his name anymore. The young kids were gonna be like, if you call that living, great, like because he's not anybody we look up to. He's not anybody that we care about. He's not anybody that we respect, essentially, right? And I think having that conversation about respect, where he was, where he started, and where he became. To your point, if he died a martyr, he was going to die with a level of respect.
Yeah. Yep.
He was going to die, and people were still going to always be like, nah, Saint was that guy. Like, he was the one. He did this. He did that. He did. But when you die, and that speaks to legacy.
Yeah.
Right? And I think we can all have that conversation of like, what do you want your legacy to be? Do you want it to be of somebody who has respect? Do you want it to be of somebody who has a position? Or do you want it to be somebody that the people are laughing at? That hurt more. If I'm being honest with you, that hurt more to me. You might as well just go in and put a bullet in me. Because if I'm going to die and y'all laughing at me, no, just take me out now.
Because it wasn't like they didn't know where he was.
Right.
They knew where he even said it himself. Now, at first it sounds like the ravings of somebody who's just but he said they called me on my phone. He said, and I got it. He said, matter of fact, matter of fact, I even called them.
Yes.
Like,
which means that line of communication was still there.
Yeah.
Because
they took his call.
They picked up.
Yeah.
They took his call.
Because we all know how hard it is to get a call into the city. Okay? Even then and now, you are not getting someone to answer your call up at City. You crazy.
They took his call. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like when it came to me that, you know what? They didn't want to kill you. They wanted you to live.
Yeah.
They wanted you to live.
They wanted you to live out in the world, right? And almost become a public spectacle.
Yeah. They wanted to make a public showing.
They wanted to make a public showing of you because anything else.
Yeah.
All the more reason why I was hoping for just one more time jump where like he won. Cause it's like, man, to say it again, bro, I needed even until the last second, I needed for Franklin to win. This was rough for me. Like when the credits rolled, I said, I don't think I like how that ended. It wasn't until for me sitting back and just looking at the broad picture, and I was like, okay, this honestly could not have ended any other way.
It couldn't have.
Like, this is how this needed to end. It doesn't mean I liked how it ended. It's not the ending I was hoping for, but it is how this show should have ended because, honestly, like I said, Franklin wasn't the good guy.
No.
And then, you know, like I said, I said it on like a recent pod when we were talking, even just like back to Teddy, because he was evil. He was evil too.
Yeah.
But I will still go back to, like, my heart still kind of broke for him a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Because that scene where he's in, where, like, you know, after he gets his chest burnt, and, you know, his chest looked like pork rinds.
Yeah.
And Franklin's like, yo, why did you take, Franklin is trying to figure out just why Teddy took his money. And they're talking, and he's like, yo, Franklin's like, I thought we was partners, like I thought we was boys, like I thought we were equals in this whole thing. And at first Teddy gives like this whole grandiose, nah, I own you.
Yeah.
I gave you everything. Like, I'm the reason you have everything you have. He even said, I allowed you to have it. And I was like, that is the most disrespectful thing you could ever. You didn't allow me to do nothing. But when he breaks down and he asks him again, he's like, bro, why did you do it? And Teddy said, because you left me.
Okay.
Which means at the core of it, though Teddy didn't show it.
Yeah.
Teddy was heartbroken when Franklin said, bro, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he did have, like, you know, because they had been through a lot together. They had to kill for each other.
Yeah.
They had to survive things together. Like, they had each other's back. Like, there were millions of times Franklin could have turned on Teddy and vice versa.
Yeah.
But they had each other's back. So there was that true connection and brotherhood together. And then for Franklin to just one day decide, you know what, I'm done.
I'm done with
and you never take a look at, that's because, like, you never really care about what the system thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one time, the system got just a little bit of conscience. Not much. Not much.
But see, that line, and I hear you, but even you saying it again, just feels like the system. Because the system, by design, is not set up for you to get out.
No.
Right? It's not set up. It never really wants you. It wants you to remain dependent on it. And like, even if we talk about, and this is not to like get deep into like world issues, right? But even when you think about programs now that are set in place to like help people and support people, the minute you make a little bit money, they kick you off.
Yeah.
The minute you try to do more for yourself, they're like, oh no, now you're going too far. They want you to almost stay in this box.
You're doing too much.
You're doing too much. Like, they want you to stay in this box where they can continue to control and manipulate the situation. And that is truly what it felt like for me. Like, I do think that, to your point, they did have moments throughout where they were like fighting for each other. But if we're being honest, it was always to Teddy's benefit. Like, Teddy understood the value of having Franklin Saint on his team, and I'm going to fight for you because I need you to stay on my team. I'm going to make sure the bad guys stay. I'm going to make sure the cops stay away from you. I'm going to make sure we can protect your assets. I'm going to make sure we can protect your mom's house. I'm going to make sure they like don't ever get too close because you have value to me.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily feel like friendship or partnership. That just feels like
got value.
You have value.
To me.
And I don't want that value to leave me. I don't want that. And if you leave me, then what does that mean for me? And that was ultimately why he took the money, right? Because he understood that if Franklin leaves me, I got Louis, but Louis not going to move this the way Franklin was moving it.
Yeah.
She's not going to make me the money Franklin was making me. So I got to take his money, because what if I lose money? Like, what if it all still felt like a system working against the people that it was designed for, right? Like that it was supposed to benefit. Teddy just feels like the representation of a system to me.
Oh, dang, they'd have got me.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, because my heart would, like I said,
No,
my heart broke a little bit for Teddy win. And I was like, but think about it now. I was like, dang, you know what, system, you'd have got me.
But see, that's the thing, because I do think that the system is sometimes positioned as like, we're here for you. We want to help you. Let us support you. Let us give you these things. But it comes with so many different strings attached. It comes with so many different, and it's always like, no, you can't do better. You can't make more money. If you make more money, the system is going to leave you. If you try to go to college, the system is going to leave you. If you try to get a better job, the system is going to leave you. If you try, like, no. And I think about that because even as we're filming, right, in Jersey City, I think about the system here. I think about how the system is not designed to help the people here, right? Like it's only designed to help certain types of people. It's only going to give grants. And you think about even, and not just beyond Jersey City, you think about the world in which we live in, and even this like real estate market, and they talk about all these grants and all this money and all this free money and all these things. Y'all not giving that to the people that it could actually really need it.
They could actually benefit from it. No.
There's so much red tape for people of color, for Black communities to really build within their own communities. But it's easy for other people to do it. Like, again, it all just, Teddy for me represents a system. And y'all know me, I do not like the system. I tried to maintain a level of like, because I know Big Brother be listening. So I try to just, we chill. But I don't like the system. And I just can't. Teddy just represents the system to me. So when again, I wanted him to at least be able to get the password out.
Yeah.
So we could transfer some money.
Just give him the password, please.
Give him the password. That was the only thing. But when Sissy, let me tell you, shout out to Sissy because she is a real one.
Yeah.
Okay? Because she too understood that if this man stays alive, the system never actually dies.
She knew that there's no way Franklin would ever be free of Teddy.
Yes.
She knew.
Because he would always have something on him, right? Like he would always so you pull you're still some level of puppet master because I am still a part of the CIA in some way, shape, or form. And like even if I do transfer this money to you, I know where that money came from, I know what you're doing, I know where you are, I know how to get you, I know how all these things are still connected to the system. And Sissy was like, nope, the system is gonna go.
Especially once she found out that Alton was like dead.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yo, just the disgust in his face and telling her though. Like
he said like,
the look on his face.
Look on his face was like, oh.
It was like, bro, are you kidding me?
That's what. But see,
that's the man is dead. Like
that's the system. The system will play with you like that. When
and they'll take the mask off, so if you'll get a quick glimpse of who they really are,
it.
And you're like, oh my God.
You still the system. You still the. That's the.
Okay. Oh my God.
Okay.
All right. So this is what you get.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what you get. Yeah.
But just get him in the password first.
The password.
Just get him in the Just get a lady the password to transfer the money. Oh man.
But see, I mean, ultimately, it comes down to it, right? Where again, certain things had to happen the way they had to happen in order for the story to manifest the way it needed to.
Yeah.
Franklin could never get that money. And what's crazy is Sissy told him that. Like, she was like, you are crazy if you think this man is going to give you that money. No. You're like, It's unfortunate.
She could have waited 5 minutes to find out.
She could have. She could have.
She could have waited 5 minutes to find out.
She definitely could have.
But she was so sure, that if Franklin got his hands on that money, that was going to be it.
It was just going to drive the addiction. It was never, ever going to be enough.
He would never be that. Yeah. But if he couldn't get that money, that at least that might stop him.
Yeah.
That might stop
Slow him down a bit.
Yeah. But
unfortunately,
it didn't.
It didn't.
No, it did not.
It honestly just it quickened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everything that like, because then he was just like, listen, I'm willing to do anything and everything, which is crazy because he could have made out okay.
Yes.
Because he still had the real estate properties. The one that they were building downtown, they were willing to buy him out. If he gave them a high enough number, they would have paid to buy him out, which then he could have funded the properties he had and just kept that money rolling. It wouldn't have been as much. Probably wouldn't have been the $37 million, but he would have been able to live comfortably,
it would have been
legitimately.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been a respectable amount.
Yeah. Which was what V was trying to do.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I don't think this is all TV, right? So like clearly it was all written to go this way. But I always create like alternative endings in my head of like how things could have gone if had different decisions been made. And I don't believe she ever intended to leave him.
No.
But that scene where he choked her and essentially was like, don't do anything unless I say so. Like, this is mine. I've built it. And if I'm going to tear it apart, I'm going to be the one to do it.
And in her head, she was hearing her mother tell her, he's a monster.
Yes, yeah.
Her mother was telling. Her mother told her. She said he's a monster.
Yeah. Now this don't, because I see your face over there. This don't change the fact that she still stole that man money and ran off with his baby and did all of those things.
I'm just talking about the fact that she should have listened to her mother in the first place. Then.
And she should have gotten a plane with her mother.
Yeah.
But see, there was no money attached to that.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. She was in it because she really saw this millions and millions of dollars that could, had she gotten on the plane or wherever her mother, the car, whatever her mother was going to go with her, none of that was going to go. Even this $800,000 she walked away from was not going with her.
You're right.
So she
but
was
again,
going.
You know what that would have been a better help to do? Break the generational curse she told Franklin she was going to break with her kid.
No, that's true. Because you about to raise him on stolen funds.
On stolen funds.
Yeah.
Good job, sis.
On stolen funds.
Good job.
Yeah. She that.
Man.
No.
What a great show, though.
Great show.
12 out of 10.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, John Singleton.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Wait, really quick. Yes, rest in peace, John Singleton. But rest in peace, Miguel. Because why did he have to kill that man? The locker guy that came to help him open the locker at Peach's
real
house?
talk. He didn't have to kill
Why did
Miguel.
he have to kill Miguel? I was like, what the man?
This was my thought. He had to kill Miguel to make it look like again, that he had nothing to do with all of that. So in other words, if he told Miguel, remember he told him, put the money in your pocket. He put the money in his pocket, and that was when he shot him.
To make it seem like Miguel was trying to steal the money.
Yeah, that it was him. Yeah, that again trying to cover up.
At the end of the day,
his tracks.
At the end of the day, when the other white dude walked in, you knew that it was a crack house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not much needed
to cover up
himself. Like, I hate to say it, but because of the house and the type of things that go on in houses like that, it didn't require much.
It didn't require.
He honestly could have let Miguel go home to his kids,
and nobody would.
And I hope that Miguel wasn't just lying about having kids, just to save his own skin.
Nah, I think Miguel had kids.
Had kids.
Yeah, rest in peace to Miguel, and if we're being honest, all the other people who rest in peace, Unc.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Unc. Rest in peace. What was the first friend? Because he was also in episode 1.
Oh, yeah.
Franklin killed him too.
Yeah. His first friend.
And I think that signaled the demise, right? Because
that was another moment.
It was a moment where I think watching it, even though we knew he had wronged him, you were still just like, dude. And I think even Leigh had remembered that. I don't remember what season it was, but I remember when it happened. I think even Leigh had a moment because it brings you to the realization that he could do that to me.
Yeah. Exactly.
If he's willing to do this and he's willing to kill these people and he's willing to do, which is why we really shouldn't be rooting for Franklin.
Yeah, because even that, it's kind of like it shows the turn. We're not even like he was like he did it to him, so he can do it to me. But it's like nobody up until that point thought Franklin was capable of murder.
Yeah.
And then
close murder. I think because that wasn't the first person he killed.
Yeah.
That was the first one?
That was his very first. Like up until then, he was just pointing guns in faces.
Right.
He had never pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
Oh. But see, that does something to you too. Because that first kill, I have never killed anybody.
Yeah.
But you hear people talk about it, right? That first kill changes your life. Like that first kill, one, it makes it easy to pull the trigger the next time.
Yep.
Because you've done it already. Like that feeling, that impact, that adrenaline that happens in that moment. You're like, okay, I can do this. I got this. Like, okay, like fine. We're gonna do what we need to do next time.
And then it's like you come up with justifications like, I'll only do it when necessary.
Yes.
You're right. Only when there's no other options on the table.
I'm only gonna kill someone when there's no other option.
And then every episode after that, it's just like bang, 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 bang,
Like
bang,
I had
bang.
to. I had to do it.
I had to kill Miguel.
They were in the way.
I had to. Yeah, exactly. I had to kill Miguel.
No, you didn't. Miguel could have gone home to his kids. And
I was hoping, and you know what's interesting, because now after you're seeing Franklin begin to deteriorate, you're hoping that he'll redeem himself, and I thought that this was going to be an act of redemption for him.
Yes.
That you were hoping that all right, you did all this stuff, but let's see you redeem yourself. And he was like, nope.
No.
Sorry to disappoint you, but no.
That's so true. And because to your point, he like chuckled when he realized, but like the tear falls for the first time. And there was this moment that I was like, okay, Franklin, like
right.
maybe, and then you kill Miguel.
Speaking to addiction and how you think there are moments where you think this is it, they about to turn the corner.
Yeah, and they don't.
And then they don't.
No. I mean, but truthfully, before we go, speaking of redemption, shout out to Wanda.
Yeah. The one, oh my God.
Shout out redemption song.
Yeah.
Okay? She is the epitome Gail. Shout out to you, sis. Because that role, Wanda in, I think they said we met Wanda in like season 2, season 3.
Yeah.
And then you see her deteriorate, right? And I'll be honest, there was definitely a moment I was like, well, Wanda's not gonna make it.
Not
like, Wanda's not coming back from that. But not only did she come back, but she came back smarter and more insightful, and just like this life here, y'all could keep fighting this if y'all want to. But this is not for me. And I think that is one of the stories that oftentimes there is. I loved that there was this balance, right? Where like not everybody had a sad story. Even Leon, like him coming back and being able to fund the shelter, being able to keep that going, and I loved that for them, because I do believe that there are those stories, right? Like I do think that in life sometimes people meet, I don't know, a bad hand, but you are able to overcome, and you are able to sort of pull life by the horns and be like, all right, let's do this thing. Like I'm going to, and shout out to Wanda.
Yeah, we kept waiting for Franklin to be redeemed, but it actually
it
was Wanda. It was Wanda.
Yes.
Oh, that was she
for her to turn around.
She turned it, because to have him come back, and he said, so what's she doing now? She's trying to start a music career.
Yeah.
I was like, Wanda? What?
Yeah, that could be what her show's going to be about.
Yeah, but see, let's talk about that for a second, because I don't know if I need that.
They're doing a
spinoff
from Snowfall?
From Snowfall, centered around Wanda.
Are you kidding me?
No. I don't know if I need that.
I don't know if I need that either.
Especially because I am very content. I kept saying, and y'all, you know this, Mo, when they came back from Africa, I had a whole meltdown in my living room, because I was like, do not come back.
Yeah,
do not come back.
Never came back.
Every week I was like, somebody get Wanda out of here. Like, because there were moments where even with her being in the PJs, right, where like she's seeing things happen around her, and I'm like, y'all gotta get Wanda out of there. And every week I was like, Wanda, go back to Africa, please, girl.
But then she knew.
And to know that she went, I was very content.
Yeah.
With knowing that Wanda went back to Africa.
I was good with that.
And once I realized that Leon listened to Sissy and he too went back to Africa, Great.
Yeah.
I was good with that.
I'm good.
'Cause even shout out to Sissy for that too, because she was like, "Listen," she said, "You want to help?"
Yeah.
She said, "You really want to help the
Yeah.
career?" She said, "You really want to help the people in this area? Go to your wife in Africa."
Yeah, she's
And come back when you're ready. See that?
Yeah.
That-
See, he came back too soon.
He came back too soon. And I think that is the thing, because he came back and almost got caught up in the game again. Because he wasn't ready. And that being ready is so
important.
Because I think many of us have a desire to help.
And to do stuff.
Yeah. And you want to, and again, when you talk about things like legacy and the legacy you leave and what you say and sort of how you help people in your community and how you can pour back. If you are not ready.
If you're not ready for that.
You will find yourself swallowed up again in the community that you were trying to help. And then now you either become a part of the problem or you become a part of the issue or like all the things. And it's just, I think that line was so crucial because sometimes you also got to free people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt like Sissy freed him from this idea that, like, you have to be the one to hold everything down. She's like, Franklin gonna do what Franklin gonna do. And he gonna have to deal with whatever consequences he's dealing with.
Because what she could have done, she could have made trying to save Franklin his responsibility. And she didn't. And she was like, nope. She was like, save yourself.
Yeah.
She said, save yourself and then come back and save.
Come back.
And save somebody else.
Because again, when you're on the airplane, they tell you to put your mask on first before you try to help somebody else put their mask on.
That's it. And that's the truth of it. It's
I use that analogy all the time.
Yeah.
You can't save anyone else if you are still working through your own issues and your own traumas and your own situations. And sometimes being back in a situation in the middle of it is the worst thing you could possibly do. You might need to help from a distance.
Yeah.
You might need to just like write a check until you can actually physically be back in this space. And I loved that she, while she was locked up, she was able to free him from the hold that your community and situations can sometimes have on you. Freedom is definitely, when you talk about themes, right? Freedom is one, and I think that looks different for everybody, which is why it had to look different. Freedom for Leigh had to be different from what freedom for Franklin was.
Yeah.
But it was still freedom nonetheless. And you just have to like, okay, I'm free. I'm free. And I think even this last thing, I know I've said that probably a couple times, but even that line that you played at the beginning of the discussion, right? Where he's like, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
That was important too, because they had hit, to your point, that this up and down in their relationship where even at the end where Franklin is like, is this how you want this to end? And Leigh's like, no. Because he was trying to get the money from him. And Leigh was like, I can't feed this with you anymore. I can't do this with you anymore. But to know that, like, they're good, again, which is why I think I don't need a spinoff, right?
Yeah.
Because I know that Wanda is good in Africa. I know that Leigh is stronger because he was able to go do and take the time he needed. I know that Leigh and Franklin are good because the only thing that probably needs to be rectified at some point is Franklin and Sissy, because boy, you should not have talked to your mama like that.
Yeah.
In that last visit.
Yeah, that was
You shouldn't have talked to her like that.
Yeah. You can give me, if necessary, it's not necessary, but if you're gonna do something, give me like a 30-minute short of just that conversation.
Okay.
Franklin walking, he's clean, he's healthy, he's sober. He's, got like some semblance of a normal life. He goes to visit Sissy.
Yeah.
They sit down. They have a conversation, talking the whole thing out.
Yeah.
They they make amends. Maybe Sissy's been moved to a jail where they could like sit down face to face.
Yeah. And have that conversation. I mean, you know what would be dope, and I only say this because I've seen they do it after like Succession, which is a whole other conversation. Where they do these like in-depth sort of like reviews.
Oh yeah, after
the show,
like they do with the dragons.
Yeah, and maybe there is a word, because I don't think this needs to come back at all, right? Yeah. But maybe maybe in a jail-like setting, Sissy and Franklin come and they just like sit. It's not in character. It's not as an extension of the show. It's just a conversation, right? Because they are the two main from season 1 to season 6 who like carried a lot of the story, who like, and this mother-son relationship dynamic could be discussed. This family dynamic could be discussed. They were also business partners, right? So like you can discuss like all these different things I think could come out of that conversation. That doesn't necessarily have to do with another extension, because I think what's done is done.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't need to be revived in any way, shape, or form. I think we got what we needed to get. I just think that it could be interesting to just have the two of them have a conversation. But shout out to Damson, because I know we've called him Franklin this entire time, but I saw a clip where a reporter saw him, I think like Thursday night. They did like an event, post-show event, and she said to him, how does it feel? Or like, does it feel like you have finally sort of put Franklin to bed? And he had cut his hair.
Really?
And he said, you see the fade, right? And it was signaled that like, that part is done.
It's done, yeah.
Now we get to move on to, and I didn't even realize how growing his hair always connected him back to that character.
Yeah.
Even if you see him on the red carpet, right? You look at other photos, there was, when you saw him, you saw Franklin.
Yeah.
But to see him now with a low cut and a fade, I don't see Franklin when I look at him. And I think that's important, right? Is that like he has put that to bed, so we have to now put that to bed. And just sort of let it be what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, do we though?
We do.
No, I understand like putting it to bed, but that man gonna be Franklin for the rest of his life. Like there are certain actors and actresses, right, who play a role.
Yeah.
Iconic.
And no matter what else they do after that, they're always gonna be associated with that role.
That's so true.
Because no matter what I see Derek Luke in, I'm calling him Antoine Fisher.
Yeah.
No, that's true. That's true.
No matter what he plays, bro, shut up, Antoine.
Right.
Yeah.
But we don't do that for everybody, though, right? So, like, that is also an interesting conversation, because Denzel has played, and, like, when you think about it, right, the parallel to Snowfall is American Gangster. I don't see Frank Lucas, though, when I see Denzel on a red carpet.
That's because there is a theory going around that I agree with. Denzel plays Denzel in everything. Like it's like he's not playing the character.
The character is actually playing him.
Yes, like he is playing himself in that movie.
Okay. Maybe.
Like, he's not.
Yes. No, I hear you. And I do, to your point, I do think that there are definitely some, because, what's his name? Ghost from Power.
Omari Hardwick.
I think he does with the same thing.
Yeah, because he's going to be Ghost forever.
And he says that. It's like, even when he's outside, like, it just randomly out with his family. Like, people just say, yo, Ghost. And he's like, no.
Because even, what's the name? What's, Tariq.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gonna go, bro.
No,
he gonna be the two of them.
Yeah,
they gonna be Ghost and Tariq for a very long time.
Yeah. So I do think, but I think, and again, I think that's because there's just certain characters that resonate with you, right? That like sit with you, that you're just
and stay with you forever.
Stay with you forever, and you when you see the person, you're just like you
just
whatchamacallit will always be Walter White.
Bryan Cranston.
Will always be Walter.
He's gonna be Walter White for the rest of his life.
Walter White for the rest of.
Or Heisenberg.
Heisenberg.
Yeah. Those was his two names from Breaking Bad. That's all you gonna be.
You're gonna be.
You're gonna be there for the rest of your life.
That's it.
80 years old, people will be seeing you on. Walter White, Heisenberg. That was you.
I'm like, do the voice.
Do it. No,
yeah. It's like you're gonna be there forever.
Yeah. But shout out to Snowfall.
Yeah.
Amazing show.
Yes.
It was fantastic. If you haven't watched it yet, do yourself a service.
Go back.
If you already watched it, do yourself a service. Watch it again.
Watch it again.
Because you might catch something that you miss the first time around.
Because just sitting here today, I was like, oh God, it brought back a lot.
Yes, no, it does. It really does.
A lot of stuff. And I was like, oh my God, yeah.
Because that's the thing with watching like shows that have been on for a long time.
Yeah.
You kind of you don't go back and watch before each new one. You just pick up where you left off. So you just forget a lot that you know.
And even sometimes when they do the like previously on, they don't always take you back to season one of something, right? Like and
it's usually random at best. They just intersperse different scenes.
Yes.
Yeah. You know. So you should definitely. It's really good. It's
Really
just,
amazing.
and you just think about the dynamic of the characters.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I think what makes for great TV, right? It's the storyline, but there is also character development.
I said that all the time.
Where you see someone and you see them, and I even said it talking to Pat last night, watching it. Franklin looks so fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Louis looks they look so fresh and so young, and so you almost, when you see them in season 1 to season 6, you see what the game did to them.
Yeah. Yep.
You not only see their progression as characters and sort of the progression of like their status in life. You see how it's almost like, talk about like presidents, right? And how they like age twice as fast in 4 years. Like these people had aged. Like you see them because of the heart, and shout out to makeup, right?
Oh.
Because who Franklin became at the very end, and like what that looked at, and what you needed to do.
That was hard to watch.
Yes.
That was
Like
hard
when
to
to
watch.
see the blood vessels have popped in his eye. I was like,
yeah.
but like again, so that it just speaks to the
That
layers.
was hard to watch. I was like, wow.
But all these things are important in telling the story, right? Because I think if I had not seen the blood vessel pop in his eye, I probably wouldn't have believed it. Or if I had not seen his teeth sort of decay in the way they need to, I would not have believed it. Like, but seeing that, I can make the connection, to your point, to the Altons and the Franklins in the world today or in my life today, that I am very much, I'm like, okay, I connect with that. And that makes it real. I understand that story. I understand what happens just because of that. So shout out to casting. Shout out to the DP. Again, the cinematography, some of the key moments, right, of Snowfall from season 6, season 5, that exchange between Franklin and Leah, that he's like brick by brick, like you always remember those moments, and it's because of the way it was captured. It's because of the way, from lighting to different, like there was even a scene in this last episode when he's talking to V, where he's sitting at the table and she's standing. The lighting was so that when the camera shot to him, it was dark. And when they panned up to her, the light was shining on her. And it was this contrast between their perspectives that aided in the storytelling, because it pulled you in where you see the darkness sort of sitting on him. And she's standing there like, why are you yelling at me? Like even just those moments, that contrast and that conversation was just like, wow. Like it was shot beautifully. It was edited beautifully. The casting,
and that's
everything.
The stuff I look for when I'm watching content on television or trying to get into a new show. Like that kind of stuff. The little things that you might ordinarily might not just pay any attention to. Like the lighting and it's in there. That makes a big
difference.
Big difference.
But yes. Leigh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For joining us today.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
We don't usually record on the weekends, but
we had to.
We had to
do this
because this has to be fresh.
No, this has to be fresh. I'm not even gonna lie. I, for a second, was like, I wonder if we could record on Thursday. Because this is like
right afterwards.
This is one of those moments where like it's just, but it's crazy because, and I promise you I'm gonna stop talking, but it's the publicist in me. We talk a lot. I can't help myself. But it's crazy because days later, right? I think even when you and I talked, you would just be like, we can't talk about this because I'm gonna forget it. And it's like we didn't.
No.
It actually just expanded this conversation, even just the different points that we all brought up. It took you back to your point. There were things that you remembered that I didn't remember, or things that Moe remembered that like, and now I'm like, oh, I gotta go watch that again because I forgot that, or I didn't see that, or I didn't pick that up. That makes for great television. And I think that there's so much, I mean, I know people are talking about him getting an Emmy. I really do hope that
they better not play them.
I know, but like truthfully, this has never been, and I question that, right? Because I do think that I think the Academy, is the Academy behind the Emmys too?
No.
Whatever the organization.
Some of the arts and sciences.
Yes. Yeah. But I think they struggle with these types of shows because I think that like it maybe feels a little funny or a little weird to give these shows that are so like crime, drug ridden the attention and the like spot, but like it's got to be about the art.
But Succession could get it, which is about like family drama and corruption within business.
Don't take me down that path because this is why we had the conversation about why we needed to get rid of the award shows to begin with.
Yeah, like because I'm like, fam, but like, what's the difference? Like,
it's one-sided. No, you're absolutely right. But I do think that they struggle. Like, in all fairness, I think that there are just shows, even in its prime, I don't necessarily think Power compares to Snowfall in any way, shape, or form. But there were moments, right? Where like Omari deserved, or where Naturi, Tasha, like they deserved at least some level of recognition for the skill that they brought to a scene or a season or something. Like, it's skill we're talking about.
Yes.
Forget content, forget its ability, its artistry that someone brings to, and it's a fair playing field. It should be a fair playing field, and we recognize that sometimes it's not. And I just think that I think these award shows struggle to acknowledge them.
And going back to what you were talking about, the artistry, it made me think about looking at the first episode of first season 1, and then the final episode of season 6, and they showed Leon in the first episode of season 1, and with minimal amount of makeup, they made him look older. I was sitting there looking at him like, and you know who he looked like? He looked like Unc.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, was that intentional? That you look like that they made you look like him, or was that just a random thing? But he looked like Unc.
Yeah.
And I kept looking at him. I kept saying,
"Wow, he did." Because I love because I noticed his hair was also curly.
Yeah.
It wasn't the fro. It was like, and I guess the Jerry curl, maybe they were like phasing it into the fact that like they were moving into more of a different, but I love that because Unc was the voice of reason.
Yeah.
Oftentimes.
Often.
And now we have Leon.
You wouldn't have thought so.
You wouldn't have thought, right. But now you have Leon, to your point. I think maybe the resemblance was the fact that he had become the voice of reason.
Yeah.
And was trying to talk to Franklin in a way that like...
See, this is what you're missing if you have not watched the show.
If you ain't watched it, again, are you not entertained? Because how have you missed it this far? But no, I even that, I didn't make the connection to Unc, but that could be valid, right?
Yeah.
Where like that voice of reason that we were used to seeing or getting from Unc at the times that he was talking to Franklin was now coming in the form of Leon. Because Leon was never really given that position.
No.
When Franklin was always, even in his conversations, he always positioned himself as the one who knew more and who knew better. And I built this business and I like all these things. Yeah. And now Leon is the one trying to solve or be the level-headed, like we can do this differently, or you don't have to, I want to bring you into my business. Like that was what he was saying to him.
Yeah.
Was like, I am starting this thing and I want your brain and I want to bring you into my partnership. And Franklin unfortunately was not in a position where he could do that. But yeah, y'all.
Yeah.
And I don't even think he would, because there are some people in the world where unless it's their thing, they're in charge. Yeah. It's done their way. Because then if he did do it, he wouldn't be able to move like he wants to because he has to answer to Leon. Yeah. And Franklin, from the very beginning, has never liked answering to anyone but himself.
Yeah.
He was always the smartest guy in the room.
Yes. Yeah. And he never liked having to answer to someone. So I don't think, even if he was of sound mind and body, that wouldn't have been an avenue for him because he's not in charge, or it's not something that would have been able to be sustained long term.
Yeah.
Because at some point he was gonna make a move, and Leon was gonna be like, "Bro, you gotta relax," and he like, "Or what?" And then it goes, left again.
No, it ended the way it needed to.
Yeah, where it needed to end.
Yeah,
and y'all should leave it there.
Yeah,
sad, but
it was. I mean, run Gail Wanda her checks in some way, but I don't need it to be a spinoff.
No, it don't have to be a spinoff. I mean, if you want to do a
whole nother show, write a whole other thing.
Yeah, do something different.
Do something different. because I don't know his name, but I know that the creator of this new show was like John Singleton's right hand. So I believe in your ability to give us something that like
that you could. Yeah.
It doesn't need to be connected to this. It can be completely different. But run her checks for sure. Pay that girl her way.
Yeah.
Yes.
And make sure she can pay like everybody else.
Like everybody else, because she I don't think she was intended. I don't know if they intended on her being as big a character as she was.
They said that she was at the time, because I was reading on it. She was just supposed to like fill in a little bit. And then because of the character, but let's see, that speaks to artistry. Yeah. Because you hear that all the time where characters are just supposed to be fill-ins, right? And the lady, Jerry is her name on Succession. I don't remember her name in real life, but she said that like her character was just supposed to be a person in a suit in a room originally, like by design, but she fought for more lines, and because she was able to create and develop a character that then became a mainstay, right? Same thing here with Wanda. Like Wanda was supposed to just be a filler originally. She was a friend of the show type thing, and then they had to make her a regular because of the development of her character and how people were so drawn.
And people liked her.
Yes, they wanted to know more. Like who is this?
Because it gave you something to root for.
Yeah.
Yes. So shout out to that. Run that girl her checks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you just don't need it to be a spinoff.
We don't need a spinoff.
No. But thank y'all for making space.
Of course.
Oh, please. Thank you.
Yes.
Listen, this was short notice, so I appreciate you for doing this. There was a slew of other people who were supposed to be here with us, but it was just too short notice to get everybody. Like, logistically, it was too short a window to do this.
But you had to do it quick.
But yeah, because it had to be done quick. So, but thank you for taking the time to come sit with us.
Of course.
And, like I said, the chair is open anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime you feel the need, you got something you feel like getting off your chest, movie related, television related, please.
I told y'all, I only watch
well, listen,
Snowfall or Love is Blind. So,
but here's the thing, and that's why I asked you. So, well, what are you going to replace it with? Because again, there's like a whole bunch of stuff coming down the pike now.
Yeah, no, I know. So, truthfully, I do also clearly I watch Succession, but that's also ending. After this season, so I really don't know.
How many seasons is Succession in?
This is
season
4.
4. Because I keep saying I'm going to go back. And watch it from the beginning.
This new HBO.
Yeah.
New HBO don't give shows a long run no more like they used to.
No.
Yeah, which is good.
No, right. I'm not against it because I do think that our attention spans can't necessarily handle.
It don't take 20 years to tell a story.
No. Because I even thought about that, and this really gonna be the last thing I say, right? I thought about that in the last episode of Snowfall, right, where we do the time lapse, where like the first time lapse did like 3 months later. Yeah. And then the first time lapse did like 1 year later. And at first I was like, and then it was 2 years later. And then it gave you just a couple. And I was like, I appreciate that. Because I don't think I needed to watch his downfall week by week or month by month or what the next. It needed, great. We did it. You gave me enough in that like first 60 minutes. And then the last 30 minutes became a quick time lapse of like what things, and that was perfect because I didn't need a full season of him being in this house fighting the city, and we didn't need that. I didn't need that.
That would have just tainted the show as a whole. So they handled that.
They did what they needed to do. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. But this was fun.
Yes, it was.
And until the next one, we out.